Welcome to Dark Souls, bitch! Wait.
I don't want this to be over. Why is it over? It's the best thing that we've ever had in the MCU. But all good things must come to an end. It is time to discuss Loki Season 2. Friends, Loki Season 2 has been confirmed as being the end of Loki, which we already kind of knew going into this. I think that was already said that it was going to be the last season, or rumors were flying about it, but it has been confirmed. Tom Hiddleston has said, this is it. That's the end of Loki's story. It is done. So how do we feel about it? Let's talk about Season 2. Let's do a Season 2 wrap. If you guys want, I'll go back and do a whole Season 1, Season 2 overview, if you would like that, because I never really talked about Season 1 on this channel because I wasn't making content regularly here at that time. So yeah, if you want that, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought of Season 2. If you agree with me that it's the best thing the MCU has done, or if you disagree with me, and if you do, let me know what you think is the best thing in the MCU thus far. But I think this is it. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to love this show as much as I did, and it blew my mind. It like, wow. When this show was first announced, would I have ever expected that I'd be saying this now? No. So Loki Season 2, what happened this season? Well, Loki and Mobius were basically tasked with saving all of the TVA after the branching timelines that were created basically by Sylvie killing He Who Remains. And as a result of that, there were a bunch of other timelines that split off because the sacred timeline was no longer just one timeline anymore. No one was making sure that everything was neatly pruned, and in order to save the TVA, whose loom was overloading with all these timelines, they had to come together, they had to form a little team, and they had to try to retrofit the loom. At least so we thought. The question, of course, became, do they have enough time to do this before the loom overloads? The answer was no, but fortunately, they had Loki. And where his time slipping at the beginning of this series seemed like a curse, by the end it became a blessing. He learned how to control it. He gains control over time. And as a result, he is able to ascend and become the god of stories, becoming the one who sits at the end of time and who safeguards all of the multiverse, with all of those timelines forming Yggdrasil, the tree of life and the tree of everything in Norse mythology, basically. So here we are. I can't believe I summed that up so fast. But that's basically what happened. I mean, a lot of other things happened. Hot chocolate, that was a good time. The hot chocolate machine, the jet skis, McDonald's.
Listen, I haven't got all day. Are you gonna order something?
There was lots of cool stuff that also happened this season. But let's get into that now and talk about some of the stuff that we love. For me, something this season that is carried over from Season 1 is the production design. We are talking the colors, the visuals, we are talking the sets, the whole look of this. It's just so perfect. I love how the TVA has such a style to it. Like, it literally looks like we took something out of the 70s and preserved it, and this 70s style is this thing that exists outside of time, where we go to make sure the time is in line. It's weird. It's like a 70s office vibe, and it carried over as well this season when we got the McDonald's as well, which was obviously retro. I just love the retro look of this whole show, and how it's retro, but it also exists outside of time, so it's not really period. So you can kind of be weird and fun with it, but it still has that feeling of something that's familiar. I do want to know, I wonder why why He Who Remains, picked this look for the TVA. Did he pick it? Who picked that? Was that you, He Who Remains? Because it's fabulous, but also it's very specific. Yeah, just the whole look of this show is really fantastic. The music in this show is also, I gotta say, phenomenal. It creeps in moments sometimes where you don't notice it, and I would say, especially with the season finale that we got for this season, and the series finale too, because it is the end of the show. The end, a great highlight of it is the end when Loki is walking across the bridge, and we hear what I believe Uptown Duck was saying is the original Thor theme, which I went back and I'm still struggling to hear it a little bit, but I think I'm starting to hear it. I think what I'm hearing, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have a great ear for instrumental music, but I have a decent ear, is the original, or sorry, not from Thor, from the Avengers. So the original theme for Loki from the Avengers, my bad, I misspoke, is playing as Loki walks down the bridge. And then as he gets to the end of it and he starts to ascend, and after the loom, he blows up the loom, we kind of get this beautiful transition into the Loki TVA theme, which I believe plays during the end credits. And this idea of it also kind of being in the TVA, like kind of synth vibes, it's just, it gives you chills. Like rewatching it, I just rewatched it before I filmed this, and my hair on the back of my neck like stood up. Like it's so beautiful to see that full circle of acknowledging the past and everywhere we've been with this show, with this character, like beyond the show even, to the present and where we are now in that growth. It's been a really beautiful journey, and I'm glad that we had Tom Hiddleston to play this character. You know, it's crazy to think that initially when Tom Hiddleston was announced as Loki, people were like, who and how could you cast Loki as this guy? And now it's like, how could you not? It's so perfect. He's such a great actor. That's another highlight for me for this season, Tom Hiddleston. I mean, all the acting in general is really amazing, but Tom Hiddleston just once again stands out. I initially thought Obi was going to be stealing the show, but they balanced things back out as we went on, and I have to say Tom Hiddleston is definitely the standout character, which I think is what you want in a show that is titled after the character that that actor plays. You know, you don't want it to be a show that's like the B-15 show when it's called Loki. That would be weird. You don't want it to be the Obi show when it's called Loki. You don't want it to be the Sylvie show when it's called Loki. Although I think in season 1, the fact that Sylvie and Loki kind of shared a little bit made sense, because Sylvie is also Loki. Not Loki, but also Loki. You know? Time stuff. Time traveling. Speaking of the acting, the other thing that I want to say is, although Tom Hiddleston definitely stands out and just knocked it out of the park as Loki, so many characters in this series, so many actors playing these characters were amazing. I feel like they really nailed it in terms of the casting and finding the right people to play the roles to help bring these roles to life and really like rise them off the page. Although it's easy to do when you have a great script. And I gotta say, the script for this show, the plot for this show, amazing. Secret Invasion, please take notes. This is how you do a show. Like, the fact that there was so much stuff that was planted at the beginning that we came back to this season, even the stuff from even season 1 and stuff from the beginning of season 2 that we come back to at the end of season 2. It's pretty perfect. The fact that this is also a plot that kept me guessing, and yeah, I did have theories, but like there were moments where I wasn't sure, even though I thought I knew where we were going. Even when we went where I went, I wasn't sure, and when we didn't, I was surprised, obviously. And there were a lot of surprising moments in this season. I was not expecting them to blow everything up. That was insane. I can't believe the marketing campaign that followed that, where they literally deleted all of their Instagram. That was insane. Even just the fact that, you know, we initially were chasing down Sylvie, and I kind of felt like we were going through the motions again. I was worried that this season was going to fall into some similar patterns to season 1, and I was going to feel like kind of tired by it and kind of feel like, oh, we're doing this again. Like there's nothing like that's as fresh. I think it's hard because season 1 was so different. Like Loki is just in general such a different show. So there's a lot of pressure on season 2, and I feel like they really lived up to it, because even though at the beginning when we started to chase Sylvie and, you know, we went back through time to get Victor Timely and all of that stuff, it felt like very, oh, here we go again, another chase. Gotta go through time. Then we came back to the TVA and everything was like blowing up. We went and chased Brad Wolf, who was Zaniac, which was also insane. Playing Zaniac in a movie. He's also a character from the comics. We had Ravonna and Timely coming together in a way that I thought I knew where that was going, and I thought they were going to end up like creating this alliance, and then that alliance broke. Miss Minutes becoming a crazy, like, I'm in love with you yandere character that I was not expecting. Just so many little things that they tweaked that really changed the whole landscape of the show in terms of characterizations and just really its character choices. I mean, they really let these characters go to a place that felt organic. You can't anticipate a lot of the stuff. I can see what people are thinking as the characters as they're thinking it, but I can't anticipate where they're going next. Everyone is so present. Everything is so in the moment. And that is something that is not easy to do, and that everyone, I think, nailed. I don't think there was a person that was in this show that was acting that wasn't present at any point. Everyone felt so rooted in where they were in that moment. It makes it really fun for you to watch as a viewer, especially when, like I said, everything else is coming together. The fact that everything matters as well in this show. Like, Loki is, like I said before, probably the greatest MCU project we've had in a long time, where it's felt like everything we're talking about here really matters and has stakes, both for the characters personally in the season, in season 2, and also for the greater universe and multiverse that we're trying to create with Marvel in the cinematic universe. That was really cool to see, because it's not easy to do, and I feel like, well, some projects have done it to a mixed degree of success. No one has really nailed it in a long time like how Loki has done, you know? And I will agree that I would say Infinity War, for me, was one of those movies where I really felt the stakes. Like, when that ended, I didn't know where we were going next. Even knowing what the comics, where the comics go, and that everyone probably would be fine. Like, they have to be fine. Same as when, you know, I thought everyone died here. I was like, well, that can't be true, because we have to keep going with this season. I wasn't sure. I knew everyone had to be okay. I knew that's not the end of Spider-Man, but I wasn't sure in my, like, heart. And that was the same thing with Loki. It makes you second guess the things that you expect, even. So beautiful. So the stakes have felt very real, and also just everything that's been said has felt like it really mattered. That is so cool. This show is so good. I can't even, like, I'm just ranting now. I'm just ranting and I need to move on, but I just need to say this show is so good. Like, it blows my mind how good it is and how perfectly it wrapped. How season 2 started out, and I started to pick up on this time loop theme, and we came back to the time loops, and everything got neatly packaged up and resolved, and it's so beautiful. I just love everyone in this show, and I wish it could go on forever, but I understand that, like most great things, it cannot. That's what makes it good. It's so finite. But it's definitely something I'm going to be excited to rewatch, and that's how I also know something is great, because when I want to rewatch it, to me, that's the sign of, like, whether it's like a masterpiece on paper or it's a janky masterpiece, that's a masterpiece. If you constantly want to go back to something, like the amount of times I rewatched WandaVision, yeah. So season 2, I think, nailed it in the sense that they had to wrap all this up, and what a beautiful freaking job they did. Holy moly, what an amazing job. Any criticisms from me? Well, there were some things we didn't get. I would have loved to see Loki and Sylvie get together. I loved that love story that we got introduced to in season 1 that I feel like didn't really get a lot of time here. I mean, I think having just some more Loki Sylvie moments in general would have been kind of cool, but we did get a few, and they were really good. So it's a very tiny gripe, and I know that Loki and Sylvie can't be together, okay? Because I know Loki's gotta leave. He's been in the MCU a long time, okay? It's time to punch out. Tom Hiddleston's like, I'm gonna take a break, which is fair. But that was a thing I would have loved to see more of. I would have loved to see Loki and Mobius on the jet ski together. I really thought we were going to get that this season, and we didn't. That was a little disappointing. I mean, I would have loved to see just more variants. That would have been cool. But like I said, these are all me nitpicking. There's nothing major. I mean, some things I was able to guess, but like I said, even when I guessed and I guessed correctly, I was always doubting myself because of how true and honest the show felt in terms of the characters' stories. That's not even a complaint. It would be nice if I wasn't able to guess anything correctly, but I don't know how you do that. I have too much knowledge, so that's maybe an impossible task. I don't expect any show to do that. And I guess, you know, where does it go now? It seems like the leaks may have been wrong about Deadpool 3, because I think people were saying that Loki was supposed to be leading the group, and obviously that's not going to happen because Tom Hiddleston is done as Loki, so that's that. So, I mean, those might be right in some way, but I don't think they're going to be right in the way that we think, if that makes sense. I don't think those leaks are completely true. They might be based off of a rumor that has some truth to it. That's my thought on that. I think that we're definitely going to be seeing Kang variants. Of course, we have this trial with Jonathan Majors coming up, so I think that will also depend on where we go exactly. But I do like the Kang angle, and Kang is a character that can be lots of different people and has been. And if we pivot to Doctor Doom, I think that also makes sense because, like I said, it has been implied in the comics that Doom could be a variant of Kang as well. So there's ways you could connect that. I think that could be cool. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see where we go next, you know? I'm liking everything that we're building here, though. And I hope wherever we go next, we just carry some of this forward. At least carry the idea of this forward and this season and this show. Because it really is something that was so perfectly woven together. And it was very much crafted to be a piece and not to be something that has to tick all these boxes. The boxes that it ticks are organic. So I just hope that the MCU can carry that forward. It looks like with Echo we might be doing that, because that also seems like a show that's going to be kind of doing its own thing for itself, as opposed to focusing on so much of ticking the boxes. And I would love to see more of that. I think it's so creative, I think it's fun, and it gets me excited, it gets me invested. And I love when things are different, because we have the comics and I love them, but I just want to see it adapted in a way that makes me intrigued and ask questions and be glued to the screen. So friends, that's it for me. I really loved season 2, obviously. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I said I would give the last episode, I said I'm going to give it infinity out of 10. And I think for all of season 2, I think I'm going to say infinity out of 10 still. I feel like for the whole season, really this whole season has been amazing. I mean, it was a little rocky at the start, maybe. A little? Even then, I still really loved it. Yeah, infinity out of 10. You know what? Whole season, infinity out of 10. Every episode together as a collective, infinity out of 10. That's all I have to say, friends. I hope you enjoyed this very long season 2 review. And like I said, if you want to hear my thoughts on the full series or on any MCU series, if you want to hear my full thoughts, let me know. Maybe I'll go back and do some other ones too. That's it. Okay. Bye. Stay nerdy. See you in the next one.